Hi, I'm George, co-founder of Bluethumb. I'm joined by my colleague Amy. Welcome to the Art in My Home podcast. We explore the stories behind the art people have in their homes.
At Bluethumb, we're dedicated to creating a welcoming home for Australian artists and making it our mission to find perfect homes for artwork. Today's guest is artist mentor, art broadcaster and all-round art lover, Wilamina Russo. Willie is a champion of emerging artists and has run her Interview with an Artist series on radio and podcast for 5 years. She's the best art podcaster in Australia, and so it is with immense pleasure and joy we welcome Willie to our podcast.
Oh my goodness, what an introduction. You too,
Welcome.
Thank you. And to my fellow art podcasters, please don't come at me. I didn't write that.
We said it.
It's our opinion, but it's valid.
Not biased.
Thank you for having me. It's so lovely to be
We
here.
are so happy to have you.
So, Willie, this is the Art in My Home podcast. So tell us about your home and the decor.
Yes, certainly. So I live in a 1920s apartment. It's got high ceilings, big rooms, black and white deco in the kitchen. It's it's a peaceful space, and we have sort of an internal garden or conservatory that we've planted out, and our walls are full.
That is great. How do you hope guests feel when they walk into your space?
I was thinking about this. I don't entertain a lot. Sure. I don't have a lot of people in our home because home for me is a very peaceful space, and I do have the odd friend over, and I guess I hope peaceful. I hope they feel that it's peaceful.
And we love talking about the specific pieces, and you sent through a bunch of amazing looking works. I know that you probably have a lot more than 5, but can we talk about a couple of the pieces that sort of mean a lot to you, that kind of, there might be stories there, or some specific ones that you'd like to talk about?
Yeah, certainly. Well, let's kick off with Jeff Lugg, because I actually bought him via Bluethumb. Jeff paints these beautiful... He paints a range of things, but the particular piece I have is an Australian woolshed scene. There's a little blue cattle dog and its pup in the woolshed. The way Jeff captures light is something that is just phenomenal, and I've had friends see that piece and then go on and buy Jeff's work because they're also from regional Australia, and he just captures the light and the mood, and you can almost feel the breeze coming through in that piece. And I love Jeff's story. He's like an ex-cop who went to Bunnings and bought some paint and started painting. And not all of his paints come from Bunnings, but when he started out, he was painting, just giving it a go. And I love that. So that's probably one of the pieces I really adore. I think another one I picked out or sent through was... it's actually a diptych, but I just sent you one of them. It's by a Russian artist called Sasha Sokolova. And when I first moved to Sydney, my husband bought me this diptych. And it's of 2 little girls and standing under clotheslines. And again, it's the light in Sasha's pieces that I just adore. And she has a way to capture faces that is just phenomenal. And her colour selection in that piece, it's very light and bright, and there are beautiful pinks. So I have those 2 sitting side by side in our dining room, and I just look at them and smile every time I see them.
And how did you discover her?
She was actually the girlfriend of my husband's business partner for a period of time, or colleague for a period of time. So we met her travelling, and when we had gone to see my husband's business partner, and her story is phenomenal. Her grandfather was a portrait painter for Stalin.
Oh, wow.
And
whoa.
I know,
that's
right?
really cool.
The pressure.
I know. And so
what happens if he didn't like it?
I know this. So she's Russian, lives in Russia with her family. She has this phenomenal practice. Her portraiture work, I would strongly encourage you to seek her out and look at it. And we on meeting her and just hearing about her practice, and she studied watercolours for 7 years. Her technical skill is phenomenal. So yeah, that's how we found Sasha. And we have a number of her pieces now at home.
Okay. Yeah. Amazing. And tell us about a couple more.
Yeah, so there's a couple in there. I think I put in one that was commissioned. Again, it was by my husband. We have a little beach shack up on the Central Coast here in New South Wales, and he commissioned this piece for my birthday, and the poor thing, he peaked with that present, right? He peaked with that birthday present. And she has painted it in these pink hues, and it's a very simple scene. And it's funny, she posted it on her Instagram. It's by Lucy O'Doherty, sorry. The artist is Lucy O'Doherty. She's a Sydney-based artist here at China Heights. And she posted it on her Instagram once my husband had given it to me, and she messaged us and was like, I don't know, I've gotten a lot of reaction to this piece. Would you mind if I did some more? And initially I was like, I feel a bit weird about that. And then I was like, don't be a cow. Let her just let her paint and do whatever she would like with the kind of reference image. And so anyway, she did another one, and it became a finalist in the win.
Oh, fantastic!
That's not our piece, but but
The original.
Yeah. So and then I think she's done a couple little more ones, and there is just something about the way she has captured the house. It's a very simple weatherboard house. It's nothing fancy, but there's a way she's captured the house and the trees around it that is just really beautiful. And then the last piece is by Kiata Mason. It's a big orange-based still life, and I first saw Kiata Mason in the Sulman, and I love still life.
Oh, I love still life.
Oh, I love still life, Amy.
That one of yours, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gripped by it.
Yes, and every time I look at it, and I bought that through Amber Creswell-Bell before she was with the Michael Reid team.
Fantastic.
She was working with Kiata to put on a exhibition, and they had this wonderful exhibition, and I actually went chasing a different piece, but it was just a bit too big. And we ended up with this piece. And my husband says I love still life because I want one, as in a still life. I live a very busy life. And but with that piece in particular, there's just something to see different every time. And again, I've bought more of her works, but that was the first kind of one.
I love that.
Yeah.
Still life, because you
I
crave a
want
still
one.
life.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why I like table flat lays.
Yeah, what do you like? Table flat lays of
Constantly
food.
drawing pictures of lunches. Is that my passion?
Sushi,
Beer, sushi, like, good afternoon.
George's home in the art in the home will be really interesting.
I didn't know you had a beach house. So have you, when you've decorated that with art, is it in a theme?
No,
sort of
so Jeff
fitting?
Lugg is up at the beach house.
Okay.
And oh my goodness, there's not any particular coastal theme and city theme. Again, it's just art we love, split between the two places. I could probably do with a curator to go look at some of it and go, Willie, that's hung so badly together. But I'm pretty casual about that kind of stuff. So
Yeah. I've often wondered, like how I collect art is kind of chaos. I just like stuff I like and it doesn't fit really. Have you ever thought, like, how have you put your collection together?
Yeah.
Is it kind of discovering stuff, or is there more of a theme? Or
So art still life is probably the genre that I gravitate to more. However, I have noticed over the years my collecting has changed to include some more abstract piece, which I sent you a piece by Hunter Amos that I didn't talk about. It's this kind of abstract portraiture work. And I had been hunting Hunter, for, I think I had to wait 18 months to 2 years to get that piece, because he's based in New York now at Parsons, I think, doing art school over there. But he's this beautiful young painter. And with that piece in particular, I could see, A, I love the work, but B, I see he has a very big future ahead of him. So at times there is strategic purchasing. I don't have a huge checkbook that I'm going out buying art, so I don't tend to buy pieces that are above a certain amount because that's just the reality of financial situations. And it's just things that I like.
Yeah.
To your point, George, it's not really like still life. It's now has branched out to a few other genres and then things that I like.
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice. It's not too conscious, kind of like, yeah, just what you like. When did you first start getting into art collecting, though?
Yeah, I got my first piece at 12.
Fantastic.
I know. Get them in early.
Set the bar high.
My parents took me to an art exhibition and there was... they said, do you like anything? And it was a little painting of these 3 girls sitting out the front in their school uniform waiting for a bus. And I caught the bus to school every day from our property with my 2 brothers. So I think that really spoke to me. In all honesty, I didn't buy art again then until my late 20s. And that was a piece in a cafe that I saw and was like, oh, I really love that. And it's this big, dark rain scene of like a parent and a child, and it's starting to fall apart. So the quality of it was not fabulous, but I just liked it. And it hangs in our living room and you can see the edges are kind of wearing. And so, yeah.
It's been loved.
Yeah, it's been loved. But yeah, 12. Bought my first piece at 12. And then it kind of kicked back into my late 20s.
Yeah. And what do you think, because you sort of came back into art then, right? What do you think spurred that change? Was there an event or just...
I think having a home.
Yeah, okay.
Or having a space.
Yeah.
And then having a bit more disposable income.
Yeah.
And also, I think I worked in corporate and I started to have this fascination or love with people who live their lives creatively and generated even income or a life from their creative practice. So I think the older I've got, the more I've appreciated and been drawn to that.
Yeah. Okay. And you are now a creator yourself.
Oh,
right?
so funny. I don't think of myself like that.
Yeah, I genuinely think you're my favourite art podcaster. How did the podcast start? Why did it start?
Yeah, so it started because I was chatting too much to artists. I was at 2SER, which is a Sydney community radio station, and I was profiling Australian artists, trying to just give them more airtime. And the station manager kind of said to me, look, it's only meant to be sort of 5 to 7 minutes. You're starting to like clock out at 12 and 15 minutes. Why don't you do a podcast and then we'll play a snippet of it on air? And so that's kind of, how the podcast came to be, of like, corralling the conversation off air and then picking a 5-minute segment for on air.
And how many episodes are you up to now?
Oh, yikes. It's over 120, I think. Over 120, going between sort of artists and gallery managers and different art world types.
Okay. And you also mentor artists?
I do.
So what does that involve, I guess?
Yeah, so there are just so many pathways an artist could take, which, as you would know, they can self-represent, they can look at a certain type of gallery, they can try for other galleries, they might just manage themselves. And I guess my role is helping them uncover what they want to do with their career, why they want to do that, and the best possible way for them to go about that. Because, I mean, although it's a very Wild West, there are no set rules, there are some unspoken or unwritten general things that you can do depending on the pathway that you want. Yeah.
Yep, that makes sense.
What made you want to get into artist mentoring?
Oh,
really?
Dude, I fell into it.
Yeah.
So in all honesty, I was having a conversation with one artist for the podcast. Mm-hmm. Then we stopped clicking record, and prior to sort of broadcasting and art mentoring, I worked in HR and recruitment for 10 years. And so I would click stop record and then unconsciously just slip into, how's it all going? What are you trying to achieve? What's been working? What hasn't? Why are you trying to achieve that? What do you think that's going to give you? And one of the guests was just like, oh my God, that's like the best conversation I've had about my practice in years, because artists are generally either talking to other artists who come with their own baggage and experiences, or they're talking to their gallery manager who's invested in them making another series of work because that's how we're all going to make some money. Or they're talking to family and friends, and family and friends are just like, everything's great, you're great, keep going. And so in terms of having a bit of an objective sounding board, that just wasn't there. So I said to this guest, do you think someone else would find value in this conversation? And they said, yeah. And it just grew by word of mouth. And so that's kind of where I am.
Yeah.
And for this year, sort of what's on the roadmap for what you're doing?
So we launched, with a co-creator called Lisa Doust, we launched The Astute Artist, which is an online self-directed platform, online learning for artists. That's probably the biggest thing I've got to kind of push this year or work on this year. It's out there. We kind of did a soft launch last year. And then mentoring clients. And the client base is getting really interesting now, from some really quite initially it was quite emerging artists, and now there's been some more senior artists who are more established, and those conversations are obviously very different to an emerging artist conversation. So, the year is full.
Oh, that's good. Do you have much to do with collectors? Because you sort of day-to-day with artists. Do you have much interaction with the other side?
Yeah, it's funny. I will have, like, friends will be like, should I buy this? And I will sometimes get DMs as well of people going, oh, I'm thinking about buying this piece of work. What should I do it? And I'm very cautious to ever say yes or no.
Yeah, sure. So I want to know, obviously you're, connecting with like lots of art world identities, going to gallery openings, imagine a very busy week. But I wanted to know kind of what you think, especially coming up to 2024, what kind of trends you're kind of identifying in art, or what you think kind of like still life or abstracts you think might be the kind of style that people will be painting this year.
Yeah. Fascinating question. If I had a crystal ball, I would. But I feel like figurative work.
Yeah, okay.
And again, it's totally biased because I love figurative works, but I feel like the still life has had a huge moment, right?
Yeah.
You guys would have seen that for sure. Lots of still life and lots of people painting it and lots of beautiful work, but there's been a lot of still life. And figurative work that is not portraiture, right? Because it's very rare that people like portraiture of strangers in their homes. So my kind of money would maybe be on figurative works. I think the market is slower, so maybe artists might be painting slightly smaller to be in a more affordable bracket. However, in saying that, I did have some conversations with people who were saying, the higher end of the market hasn't actually been impacted by the economical situation at all. So those artists in that really premium end of town are not feeling, they're fine. They're painting and selling. But I think artists in the emerging and early career stage are trying to think about, okay, well, how can I create works that are at a price point that is more appealing to a market where interest rates are on the rise.
Absolutely. I've noticed that.
Yeah.
Very much
We see it on our platform.
Yeah,
We've got
you
the same
must.
amount of visitors,
Yeah.
just the conversion rate's lower.
Yes.
Sort of.
And then the trend for little floral
Smaller.
still
Yes.
life,
Yes,
at
definitely.
under a 500 price point, which is what people can afford, and they sell fine.
They sell, Yeah, fascinating. Oh my God, the data.
Yeah.
You need to do an art data podcast.
Ooh, art maps.
We've got a bunch of data people that would love that. So this is slightly out of left field, but if if money were no object, if you had a blank checkbook and you said I could get any piece in the world, is there a piece you would get? Is there something you've thought about? That could be hanging in the Louvre, or it could be the gallery down the road. Is there something you would grab?
Yeah, so I would, if you're opening a blank checkbook for me, I'd get a Whiteley for my husband.
Oh, fantastic.
He loves Whiteley, the big harbour scenes.
Stunning.
If I'm buying for myself, it's probably a Frida Kahlo, and it's not that I actually like her work all that much, but it's just that I love her and I love her story, and I just love her story. God, she had it tough, but then she just lived this amazingly eccentric life. So that would be open checkbook. That's where I'm heading.
Great. I think they'd look great next to each
I
other
know.
as well. Yeah. Do you have any artists to watch for 2024 on your radar?
Yeah. Oh, God. Okay, so this is like me stepping on a whole heap of landmines. Because obviously if I'm recommending clients, other clients are going to get upset. So I have just made a vow not to recommend any clients.
Sure.
But there is a fabulous young artist or early career stage artist called Sian Buller who paints still life. He's a very small rate of production. It's not his full-time career, but he has an eye with colour and light, again, there's that word, that if he ever starts releasing more work onto the market, Sian Buller.
Love it. That's
I'll send you the correct spelling of that name.
We'll find and post show notes.
Great rec. No, that's nice. Beautiful.
I wanted to know, the blank check one a lot. And, yeah.
Who's your blank check?
It's actually the same as your husband.
Oh, awesome.
As the Sydney, one of those exhibition centres or something, and there's this
yes.
Brett Whiteley harbour scene.
Yes.
It's like, it fills a wall, and I was like, that's
That's
the
it.
one.
That's the one.
I need to build a new house.
Amy,
Get
who's
it.
your blank check?
Oh, Brett Whiteley's such a good one, but I really love Del Catherine Barton.
Oh, yes.
She's my favourite since I was at uni. I'm
Yeah.
just obsessed with her preciseness and just the colours and the creatures, and I just think they're fascinating.
Yeah.
I've seen them exhibited a few times, and every time I'm just dumbstruck every time I look at it. So yeah, I'll take 5 of those next to each other in my
They're
house.
so good in person, aren't they? She was at Mona, I think we saw
Yes,
at
she
least
is.
one in
Yeah,
person.
she is.
Yeah, and
She's so good in it's just seeing
The
her on
screen doesn't do
Instagram.
it justice,
You need to see them up close, and they're just incredible. So she's my hot ticket.
Nice.
Awesome.
Nice.
Well, thank you so much,
Oh my
Wilamina.
goodness.
Thank you, Willie.
Thank you for having me. This has
lovely
been
to chat.
such a delight.
Yeah, and it's nice to hear stories from you, because I've listened to lots of your podcasts, and
I don't talk about me.
So really
Get in the
appreciate
other
it.
side.
Yeah, it's been so wonderful. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.